This beginner's guide for Lord of the Rings Rise to War is going to help you get a killer start. Right now I'm ranked in the top 8 and I have only spent $1. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in this ultimate beginner's guide for Lord of the Rings Rise to War, I am going to showcase how it is in the first 2.5 days. I have a number 8 placement for my personal ring level. My production is 11. My fellowship, well, the fellowship is maybe less relevant, is ranked 5. I'm going to give you everything you need to know to get a great start in this game, and I'm showing you the proof is in the pudding. I'm doing pretty well, and I've only spent $1. So let's get a really basic level of understanding of this game. And by the way, there's going to be timestamps in this video, so you can skip to whatever part you're most interested in. Those are all going to be listed out in the description. And if you like more videos about Lord of the Rings Rise to War, then subscribe to the channel and throw a like on here. And my Discord server is discord.gg/Chisgule. Consider joining. So, where do we begin? The thing that is central to your progression in this game is leveling up your ring, getting more ring power per hour, and you do that by taking tiles. They both generate resources and ring power. Now, these tiles are all over the map here. You start with very basic tiles, and just to give you a quick rundown of what this contains, a tile includes in it the number of ring power you get per hour. The level of the tile is shown in the upper right. And also they tell you the strength of the army that's defending it. It is a level 1 defender. So this is helpful when you're thinking about what you're going to attack it with. Also, it tells you the amount of resources you're going to get from the tile. So you can see that an unoccupied tile that's a level 1 is going to give me a decent amount of resources and otherwise not all that much. Now, the tougher the tile, it's going to take a tougher army to take down, but also you get more resources. And over time, you're accumulating lots of ring power and lots of resources. Now, to take a tile, you need to be connected to one other spot that you or your fellowship, that's your alliance, or your faction is connected to. Now, when we talk about fellowship, the fellowship is going to be colored in blue on the map, so you can see this is a fellowship-owned tile, and your faction is in purple. Faction is whatever, I guess, race you sort of signed up for. So for me, I signed up for Erebor. That's the dwarves. If I go into my city, you can see actually there are a bunch of races I can switch to: Lothlorien or Isengard, Rohar, Gondor, Mordor. If you are on the side of evil, you can swap at the start of the game between Mordor and Isengard. You actually can switch your civilization, and if you wanted, you could switch from the light side between Erebor, Lothlorien, Rohan, and Gondor. So you actually can switch if you want, but I'm told that if you do that, you lose all your tiles. So if you're going to switch, just do that really early so you can play with your friends. And spoiler alert, if you really want to crush it in this game, my very strong recommendation is that you go in with a group already. That way, you start out really strong and get a really nice snowball effect to kind of crush everything. So, especially because people can swap. They'll all flock to you. That's, I think, how that's going to go. Now, what you also need to know about tiles as you're expanding your influence is that as you complete your main quest line, you'll get the ability to have more tiles. More tiles means more power. And you can even disconnect tiles. You can destroy them by tapping the little red X on the tile to get another tile spot back. It's going to take 30 minutes, but you're not going to want your low-level tiles once you get access to higher-level ones. So keep that in mind, that sometimes you might need to take something just to get to where you're going, and you can delete some of the previous tiles that you had afterwards after you got to that desired spot. So things do need to be connected, but for example, I could go and I could delete some of these tiles if I wanted, and I'd still have access to this one. You can see these tiles that are sort of stranded and aren't in a connected chain of tiles still are giving me all the resources and all the ring power, so you don't have to worry about that. And I know that was one of my very first questions, is like, do I have to like keep everything all connected? And the answer is definitely no. Now, there are other things you can do that can expand where you can access and build to, but for now, I think that's a great starting understanding. And if you want to see all your tiles, there's a button you can tap that will show you them sorted by the ring power that they actually grant you. And I actually took a spot just now. So the way that you access that menu is right up over here. That little tile icon, you can find where all your tiles are once you accumulate a ton of these things. Now you can see my resource gain in the upper left portion of the screen. One of the tips that I'm going to give you here is that you can start to balance the amount of resources you're getting of each type. That way you don't have too much of a surplus in one thing or another. I will say in the beginning, you are going to find yourself needing a lot of ore. That's the third resource over here, and food. So these brown lands that look a little mountainy, those are going to be really good to get. Also, the food plots are going to be really important to have. I was really low on those for quite some time, and now I'm in a better spot. Now, once your buildings get leveled up a little bit more, you actually can solve this problem of having too much of one resource or another by accessing the market. This is not a building that's going to be available to you at the start of the game, but you'll be able to go over to the barter section and make a trade. These trades are not very positive. I mean, even after I've leveled it up more than once, or I guess maybe just one time, I mean, I'm still trading like 2 for 1, not in my favor, in order to get the resource that I want. And look, like if you need a resource, you need a resource. I'm desperate for food. I might have to trade some wood away to get the food that I need. The market will help you with that. Now, one way you can also sneak in a few other resources and many other actual things that you're going to be really interested in, like armor and commander experience, is to make your way over to the tavern. That's the button all the way over here. And you're going to complete tips. Now, tips are like, you know, there's like a tip that there's something going on out in the wild and you should go check it out, right? It's a tip off that something is going to be happening. And you can see one of the tips that I completed actually did give me a bunch of resources. I don't know why it's still showing me that tip, but whatever. And you can dispatch your commanders to go and kind of run down one of these tips to see what's really there, and then you get the corresponding reward. These tips are so good that I would recommend, certainly in the start of the game, that after you've cleared the tavern of all of the tips that were available to you, there's a little button you can tap right over here to refresh it. In this case, it's going to take me 200 gems to do the refresh, and there's a star level on each of these tips showcasing how good they actually are. Look at this 3-star tip. Oh, that's because it's giving me respect for Frodo and Sam. Well, Frodo and Sam, I guess that makes sense that that's something that would be a 3-star tip. And by the way, tips will accumulate in this board over here for a limited amount of time. So you can see this quest that I haven't started yet. I've got 46 hours and 51 minutes to either start it or get it done. I don't know which of those it actually is, but knock these tips out with your downtime, like before you go to bed, or if you're going to, be away for some number of hours. And that way your commanders are being productive, even though you're not physically there. Now, on the topic of commanders, this is a seemingly simple screen with a heck of a lot going on. Now, I will do a separate in-depth video on commanders if you're interested, but there's a couple things that are really important to call out. First of all, if you haven't equipped armor, go and do that. As you unlock your armor, you equip it, and your commander will become familiar with it. As that happens, you get more stats from that piece of armor. So there's a little bit of a cost for switching your armor around. The reason the game does that is that they don't want you to have like one god tier set of armor and just keep switching it from one commander to another, to another, to another as you spend their stamina. Now, stamina is the limited resource on a commander that does naturally regenerate over time. It's the limiting factor for how much you can get done in the start of the game, and that definitely is important to manage to your stamina. You want to be spending down your stamina basically all the time and go to bed with empty stamina bars if at all possible. And don't miss out on assigning your extra stat points here. Ooh, baby. I am going to get all the way up to level 15 on this particular talent on this commander, and doing so gives me a bonus effect. I don't actually know at this moment in time if it's better off to go for the bonus effects or if it's better off to get the side skills. I have gone in and tried to max out bonus effects because that seems solid to me, but maybe just unlocking these would be a really good pickup. I'm not entirely sure. Leave a comment down below if you know. Now, there are a number of stats that are on commanders, and without going too in-depth on this, if you want to see more information on these, you can tap them over here. That includes might, focus, and speed. The benefit that you're getting from each of these is displayed here, and they are very significant. As an example, the focus is really low on Dwalin. This is a commander that's really good for doing lots of damage, whereas my Faramir has like way more focus, which means that he takes less damage. So he's more tanky. This one is more punchy, does a lot of damage. There's a lot to unpack with commanders, and again, I'm going to cover that probably in a different video. If you're not happy with the talents that you have, by the way, you could always go and reset them. It's only 20 gems, which feels like a really low amount. So if you've got a new build that you think is going to be better, you should totally just go for that. Definitely worth it. And by the way, once you start to get duplicates of your equipment, now we're in like a really great space, but once you start to get more items than you know what to do with, you can actually strengthen an item like I've done here to add star levels to it. It basically just adds stats, and doing so is going to sacrifice some of the other items that you had. So if I want to strengthen this 1-star item, it takes 2 other blues. I'm not going to do that. Well, I guess maybe I will do that right now. I could pick this ranged might bow, of which I have 2 of them. Is there anything else that I have 2 of? Maybe not. So maybe I'll hold off for now, but you get the idea. You turn these in, you convert them over, and you'll get more stats. Like, for example, if I smash OK here, it shows you the stat gain that you would get from that. So jumping back now to the next thing that I want to show you, it is your ability points. So one thing you spend on your commanders is stamina, but you also get these ability points right over here. You can see them on your ring screen. They regenerate. It looks like it takes more than an hour to regenerate these. I mean, it's very, very slow. You also can see them in your home screen right up here. These actually give you the ability to do some extra special things. One of those things that you can do is gather from a resource node. What that will do for you is whatever type of resource that node has, you get resources for spending time there. I think it's about half an hour. And the higher level the node is, the more resources you're going to get. So you're going to want to do this on your highest level node. For me, that would be like this level 8 node or tile where it's 130 ring power. That is going to give me more resources, which I can show you real quick. Okay, this is going to give me 24,000 compared to doing, let's say, I don't know, this tile over here is going to be much less. We're looking at 9,600. So the higher power the land, the more you get. The other thing you can do on your highest tile possible is going to be a mock battle. Now, a mock battle is going to actually cost you your resources. It's going to cost you food to do a mock battle, but you get experience out of the deal, and you're not losing any troops, which is a big deal. It takes time, but you're trading basically your points for experience, and experience on your commanders is a big deal. The higher level you get, the more troops you can have. The more troops you have, the stronger that you are. So those are just a couple things that you can do with those points, and it is important to try to spend those down. They are premium. They limit the amount you get of those. I personally have been doing a lot of gathering to make up for resource gaps. I also, in the beginning of the game, went to bed and just sent a commander out to mock battle for a bit. That was also, I think, a really solid choice. On the topic of really solid choices, you should make your way into an amazing fellowship. Right now, it's just so early to say exactly what all the long-term benefits are going to be for you, but I will say there's just a huge difference in how much you can learn from the other players in your fellowship. If you can make your way into a top-tier fellowship, I mean, we have 10 spots open. Most of these fellowships are going to have a ton of space available for you. And even in the early game, that's going to expand really quickly as players go and battle down different things on the map. You can see here when you hit the question mark that it tells you the fellowships will level up by defeating mobs, among other things. So you're going to want to find a great fellowship. One way to do that is to go into the menu up top. I'm going to tap that center button here, and you go to ranking, and then you go to fellowship production. And that's a pretty good indicator as to which fellowships are top tier. You pick the one in your faction, and you're off to the races. So I'm in the Iron Feet. We're now rank 5. We're doing all right. In the grand scheme of things, I think that's pretty okay. And the thing you need to know is that there is a 2-hour window from when you leave the fellowship you're in until you can go join some other fellowship. So just keep that in mind. There's a 2-hour downtime before you'll be able to actually join the one you want after you leave the one that you're in. Now, in order to take these tiles and use your commanders, you do need to assign troops to your army. And I am still very eager to learn what is like the best configuration of troops in an army. I'm not entirely sure yet. I've got these two dudes in town just with some like very low placeholder troops here, but you drag and drop your troops in, and this is going to get you set up for doing battle. But what you can also do, which you may not have known, is that you can go and you can refresh the troops to your march that's already out in the field. So I just did a battle with these troops over here, and what I can do with them is I could send, for example, to Dwalin, who took a lot more damage than I was actually expecting. I could say, oh, wow, all of his archers are gone? How did that happen? Man, whatever he was fighting must have been really savage, but you can drag, if you have more troops available, to reinforce them in the field, and you can send that down. And reinforcing is going to go way, way faster than trying to bring your march all the way home and then back out onto the field. I actually am really shocked at what happened in that battle report, and now is maybe a good time to show you what do these battle reports look like. I made a video detailing how you take higher level tiles. I'll have a card up in the top if you want to go check that out. You send 2 marches at it or more. That's the short version of the answer. And here you can see Dwalin was battling Agzok. And if I tap this little button right over here with a chart, it's going to show me exactly how many deads I had. Wow, this guy was really tough for me. Almost 1,000 deads is unusually high. And that's with 2 marches going there, which is really, really insane. And this dude just killed all my archers. Like, all my ranged guys just got freaking obliterated. I do not understand. This dude, like, skipped my tanky frontliners and just obliterated my ranged. There's probably something to know about how to attack these tiles to prevent this sort of a situation. I don't know what the answer is just yet, but I'd be eager for your thoughts. One strategy I've seen is to send the weaker march or army first, but, like, I don't want those troops to die either. So I don't think I really want that to, like, tank for my stronger army. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. And one thing you can do to figure out what happened in a battle is to tap that little gold button. Now, the gold button is going to be a playback. Like, I want to know what happened. Great news. I can find out. Let's find out by just very briefly stepping through this. And I'm going to watch this at 3x speed. It looks like, I mean, maybe their ranged is hitting my ranged. Just a whole bunch of my dudes just, like, pieced out over there all at once. Not great. Oh, yeah. So what's happening is that their commander does some sort of damage prioritizing my ranged units, and they're just getting completely wrecked. Like, all of them are dying in a way that is hugely tragic. Whereas my, like, front line over here, I mean, I'm taking some damage, but it's, like, not nearly the same. Wow. Now, I got to go heal my hospital to get some of these troops back, and that's going to take food, which is, this is going to be, man, this is going to be a lot to heal up here. I sort of wonder what is, like, the very best combination to run. I don't know yet. I'm going to, speaking of combination to run, I'm going to run these home for now. Recall those. And I also am going to go in and heal up my hospital. One tip that I've got for you, by the way, if you want to see all of the queues that are in your city and try to know which ones are open for use, there is this little hourglass with the list. You tap that, and it'll show you all of the things being built. It'll show you where you can go and heal your troops, and also your queues for training new troops. I'm completely tapped on resources right now, which is really awkward. So training new troops is a little bit difficult for me. But if I go to heal all of these, mega yikes, at least I get 480 of the archers back. Oof. That's almost all my food. And there we go. I'm getting that back. The good news is that I have seriously boosted my production, which means that overnight, I'm going to be in a really good spot when I wake up in the morning with just a ton of resources. I mean, unless I get attacked or whatever. I don't know how that works. To be able to do something great in the morning, hopefully training lots of troops. And I will use the market, as I was describing earlier, to trade out sort of one resource for another in order to have what I need to make what I need to make. One thing I will say from doing just an outrageous amount of battling at the start, and I didn't play the beta, so I'm learning this with you all, But what I will say is that I think it's very advantageous to fight weaker units and avoid taking hard fights unless you really need to. And the reason why I'd say that is that when you take an easy fight, yeah, you get less experience, but you also don't lose a lot of troops. And if you're going to be super active at the start of the game like I was, man, you are going to lose just a ton of troops, battling at the start, taking tiles, and ranking up your production. And you may think, whoa, but Chisgule, you don't have an army, man. And it's like, yeah, I don't have an army for now, but I got the resource production, baby. And I think in the long run, that's totally going to be the way to go. I'm going to snowball this thing in my favor by getting as many resources as possible. And on the topic of resources, one of the things that you'll care about a lot is gold. Gold is used to make your units more effective. You get your gold over here when you levy, and you can refresh, at least for me, every 2 hours, you get another levy. You can double the value of your levy with 100 gems if you wanted. I haven't ever done that. And the things that will improve your gold levy is your city buildings. That's going to be your main hall. And by the way that you read this is it will tell you, actually, I guess it's not your main hall. Hold on, not the main hall, but it tells you the resource requirements. It tells you the required buildings in order to upgrade it, and it tells you the upgrade effect. So I've upgraded my settlement durability. Where did I increase my levy? I guess it was over here on these screens, which includes upgrading your quarters, and you will get more quarters available to you as you level up your main building, your city hall. So I actually have a Elvish quarters. I don't know how you pronounce this. Numenorian. Oh gosh, it's kind of embarrassing that and Rohirrim. Okay, I should have just stuck with this one. I should have not outed myself and just stuck with this one. But as you level these buildings up, you actually get more value from your levies. So just be sure not to claim your levies if you're about to upgrade one of these buildings. Like in 2 minutes and 45 seconds, I'm going to have this building get upgraded, which means my levy amount's going to go up by 400. So that's 1,600 extra gold if I just wait to claim my levies, which yes, I'll wait. I'll wait the 2 minutes. Thank you very much to get the extra gold. And as I was saying, the main place to use your gold is over here to upgrade your troops. The thing that I've seen a lot of people say is to just not spend a lot of gold upgrading low tier troops. So I've accumulated a lot of gold. I just don't know, though, if I would perhaps just be better off doing some upgrades over here, more upgrades. But I feel like for the main units I've been using, I mean, I at least took them to level 5. And by the way, the amount of gold that it takes to do these upgrades goes way, way up. And the benefit is incremental and stays the same for each level. So the earlier levels definitely get you, I think, the most value in terms of the amount of gold for the amount of effect that you're going to go and get. Now, this video was perhaps longer than I intended, but gives you a really great run through of pretty much all the basic stuff you need to know at the start of the game. And when in doubt, you're like, hey, Chisgule, what am I supposed to be doing right now? The answer is right over here in this scroll. This is your main quest line, the chapter line. And this is telling you exactly what you're supposed to do at any moment in time. So right now, you can see I've got to update the folk quarters. I need to go and upgrade Dwarven Footman Training Grounds to level 5. And I need to take more of the higher level tiles in order to get to the 7,500 production, which will give me the task completion, which gives me a bunch of resources and the land limit up by 10. That's the money maker right there. That's the big one. Also, 200 gems is kind of nice. So I'm following along with this, and that's why I've been deleting my lower level tiles, taking higher level tiles, which is the benefit of giving me more ring power and more resources. If you found this guide helpful, do me a huge favor and throw a like on here and subscribe to the channel. I have made a number of videos about this game, and I've got some mixed feelings overall about it, but I'm pretty optimistic from what I've seen in the early game. The only thing that I'm still wrapping my head around is just this idea that it takes a very long time to go anywhere. So the way that you play this game is not by like watching it for a long period of time, it would seem, but having really effective short bursts of time and then just doing other stuff. And if that's what you're into, then I think you're signing up for a game that could be very rewarding. Ooh, I got to go and collect my gold. My big building just finished. I'll go queue up some other building. If you enjoyed, throw a like on here, subscribe, and until next time, good luck powering up and getting stronger.